Welcome back to another exciting video, and what we're talking about today is my podcast room. So why are we talking about the podcast room? Well, because I think it was the video where I put up where I said, where I'm giving away the guitar if I hit 50,000 subscribers. And I said, this is one of the greatest things I have ever built is this podcast room. And it just makes everything in my life easier. It makes meeting girls easier. It makes going to work easier. It makes, playing guitar easier, playing piano easier. It just makes everything in my life easier. And one of my friends, I have a friend who lives up in New York, geek, and got another buddy of mine lives in Virginia, Ray, and we were chit-chatting, and they were asking me about, Geek was asking, what is in my room? What have I got and why did I buy it? And I thought, you know what? I'll go ahead and do a video on that real quick. And in case anybody else wants to set up a really cool little podcast room, this is a good way to do it, the way I've got it set up. I have put a tremendous amount of thought into everything that I have bought for this podcast room. I just didn't run out and just start buying things randomly. I did a tremendous amount of research and just started picking out the pieces that I needed. And so let's get started. What we're going to do is we're going to start with my camera. I have a BlackMagic 6K pocket cinema camera, and this is actually one of the greatest cameras I have ever bought. I have shot with everything in this world. I've owned Canons, Panasonics, Sonys. I mean, you name it, I've had it. And except for my Panasonics are actually ENG type cameras. But then as I really started to get serious into my video production company, I started moving over to the DSLR type of handheld cameras. And that led me to this BlackMagic. And it's this is kind of a DSLR type camera, but as you can, you may not be able to tell through the video, but it's substantially bigger than a DSLR, but it has kind of the same form factor. The nice thing about the BlackMagic is the menu on the back is the most intuitive, easiest menu I've ever used in my life. I mean, it's literally like using an Apple iPad as far as the simplicity and the way that you use it, because you can swipe and touch and move everything. And you can see on the back of it, you have all the different menus for your monitor, for you to bake in LUTs, for your so you can set the camera up with what type of shooting that you want to do. It shoots internally ProRes. You can use you can shoot in RAW, which is absolutely fantastic. You can shoot in 6K RAW, which is absolutely fantastic. And it shoots, like I said, natively in ProRes. And ProRes has become a very popular codec. And Red cameras use ProRes. A lot of cameras are starting to use ProRes right now. And a lot of cameras are using ProRes RAW, but BlackMagic has their own RAW called B-RAW, which is absolutely brilliant. I think it's 14 stops of latitude that it has, which is just amazing. And so I went with the BlackMagic, A, because of the simplicity, B, because the 6K RAW is just fantastic. And it's kind of hard to beat the price of the camera for what you get. And I think that's where BlackMagic is just they've kind of turned a corner and started making these amazing cameras at prices pretty much anybody can afford. You can get the BlackMagic 6K pocket cinema camera. The body is $2,000. There's not much. Actually, I can't think of anything that shoots on this level for $2,000. Absolutely nothing. And like I said, I've shot with Sony's, Panasonics, and everything, and I finally decided on the BlackMagic. And because, like I said, the menu's easy and just the different codecs I can shoot in, the frame rates and everything that I can do, I absolutely love this camera. And it's very simple to use and simple to understand. And besides the fact that it has, you can add LUTs into it so you can see what you're looking at. You can bake the LUTs into the film. So when you drop it out, it's already into the camera, has full audio control over everything you do. And you can literally set up everything on this camera from this menu. And then it also has a feature so you can go in and you can edit your reels. So if you're actually working on a movie, you can go in and you can slate your movie projects from the back of the camera, which is absolutely brilliant on this camera. And if we move around to the side, what you'll see here, see all these, you can see all the places where you kind of plug everything up. And currently I have in mine, it has a full-size HDMI, which I love, and it has a USB Type 3 also, which I use to hook up my my SSDs, because I do not shoot to CFast cards for the simple reason CFast cards are insanely expensive. It's nuts how expensive these things are. And if you get the Samsung, a couple people make drives, Angelbird makes one, but Samsung makes a drive called a T5, and it buffers so fast, you can shoot pretty much 3-to-1 uncompressed RAW 6K onto this hard drive, and it'll take it. It has an extremely fast buffer on it. And the nice thing about these hard drives is you can see here, these hard drives are tiny. These are the little Samsung T5s right here, and you can see in my hand how little this thing is. And these things are just fantastic. I absolutely love these, and I have several of these. As you can see, I got 3 here, and I got 1 in the camera. And these are 1 terabyte. Now, when you're shooting in 4K, you can probably get, I think, around 150 to 2 hours and 30 minutes, depending on what you're shooting on. But when you go into RAW, obviously that minimizes quite a bit. I mean, when you're running full open RAW, you're probably going to get about 23 to 30 minutes out of one of these cards, because the files are absolutely massive. So I have plenty of these. And then moving on with the camera, you can see what I've got around the camera here is I have a small rig. Now, multiple reasons. I bought the small rig, just in case I drop the camera. This is all made out of aluminum, and it will help protect the body of the camera. But also, you want a way to attach everything in the camera, because I used to run a halo, and I took the halo off because the small rig just suited my needs better. And you can see right here, this is where my the T5, this is where the cards actually mount to the camera. And then I plug the USB into the side of it, and that is my media source for the camera when I'm shooting. And then on the left side, which you can't see because I don't have it hooked up, I actually have another battery plate that will take these batteries here. Ow. These are the Sonys. This is the MP970 battery here. And I have a bank of these batteries, and I can stick them onto the top of the camera there. And then from the camera, I can run out to the power source into the side of the camera. And what this will do is I have these, and of course you have the internal battery into the camera also. So I can literally shoot all day, because when this battery dies, because the battery mount from small rig actually has an indicator on the side, and it runs 7.4 volt or 12 volt out. I run 12 volt into my BlackMagic, and it has an indicator to let you know when this battery is dying. Then when this battery dies, you just hot swap it, because the internal battery will keep going. And essentially what it's doing is this battery is keeping the internal battery charged the entire time. And so if you have 6 of these and 5 or 6 of these, you can literally shoot pretty much all day, as long as you probably could shoot all day in RAW, because you shoot everything in scenes. So pretty slick. And I'll get back to this battery in a minute. And you can see on the side here, where you see these 2 brass pieces, that's actually where my NATO handle goes. I do not have it hooked up because I've got, it's obviously on a tripod, so I don't need it. So a NATO handle hooks up on this side, and of course you have the grip on the other side, and then you see the top handle. And the top handle has a hot shoe mount in it also. And on the hot shoe mount, that is where I have my monitor hooked up. Now, the monitor I have here is a Desview. This is a 7-inch. This is the R72, and it is 1,000 nits and 11,000 to 1 contrast ratio. So the monitor is insanely bright, and you can see it outside in full sun. The nice thing about this monitor is it's fully touchscreen. So you can put your false color on it. You can put your scopes on it and look at everything that is transmitting through the camera. And then also it has audio meters for external audio, which I do not use for that. Everything I do is, anytime you're shooting video, you always want to capture secondary audio, always, and then match it up either through timecode or waveform in post. And of course, it has battery indicators to let you know how well your battery is doing on the monitor. The color on it is fantastic. And I believe it was like $240 for the monitor, but I'll get back to the price of all this stuff in a second. Then, of course, it's sitting on a small rig ball mount, which is, the small rig stuff is just, it's amazing. I love the small rig gear, and that's probably all I'll continue to use from this point on. And there's a lot of different cages out there. I just chose the small rig because of the certain things that they had for it that I really liked, the way I could outfit my camera out. And it's just, at one point, what I'll do is I'll just completely rig the camera out and take a picture of it and post it up. It's pretty cool. So moving on from there, and of course, I got my standard tripod. You know, it's just a 3-leg with a spreader tripod with a fluid head. So things you just pretty much need if you're ever going to shoot professional video. Moving on, I've got my 2 lights here. Now, these 2 lights here, these are GVM lights, and they're actually not that expensive. The reason I bought these lights is because A, they came with a softbox with a grid. B, I can set one as the master and one as the slave and just control everything with the one light through the app. These are fully RGB lights, and they do have the effects in them, you know, candlelight, cinema, lightning, and of course police and all that stuff like most RGBs that are coming out today do have. The color matching on these is actually pretty damn good for the money. And as you can see here, what I'm doing is I'm running one at 50% brightness. I got one at 20% brightness to kind of offset the brightness a little bit on my face, to give my face a little bit of depth when I'm talking, which is normally how you run everything when you're shooting video. You never shoot everything full on bright because you want to have a little bit of depth. And then, of course, they're sitting on light stands. I think this, like I said, I'll get back to the price on these in a minute, but these were fantastic. Now, what I've got above me that sits to my top right, these are these little lights here. These are made by well, actually, a company makes them, and then several companies put them out. Pixel puts one out, and then Hagibis puts them out. And that's what these are here. Now, these are pretty cool little lights. These are full RGB LEDs that have all the same effects as the big lights. These are about, you can get these on sale sometimes on Amazon for probably around $75 a piece. They normally sell for about $100. And they have their own little mount on them here. This little swing arm that comes out. And then, of course, you got your 1/4-inch thread right there. And these have an internal lithium battery, so you just plug these in and they charge internally, which is absolutely fantastic. And these little dudes are pretty bright, man. They put out quite a bit of light. This is at 16% at 5600 Kelvin here. So let's crank this dude up. I mean, you can see there, I mean, my zebras are going off like crazy on my camera. You can see how crazy bright this little light is. And these things are seriously cool, and they don't weigh anything. They're super light. And we'll turn this brightness down, because like I said, the zebras are going nuts. As you can see here, I don't know how well this will translate with all my other lights on, but I can adjust the coloring of the light. It goes down to 2.5 Kelvin, and it'll go up to 8.5 Kelvin. Now, these big lights do exactly the same thing. They're just much nicer than what these are. And then, of course, you have, you know, different colors that you can move through. Turn it up a little bit. You can set the saturation to 100%, and you can just go around the entire hue. So that's actually pretty cool. And, of course, now we're into, this is the Thunder that we're looking at here. This is the Candlelight. This one's actually pretty cool. I do like this one. This one's actually pretty cool. On that video series I'm doing, the lyrical side of the songs, I was actually going to do this with the Candlelight, and I was just going to have 2 of them just kind of looking down on me. Not quite this bright, of course. And now it's just going to cycle through the RGBs right here. And then, of course, you have the flashing red light. More lightning. And let's see here. Multiple modes on the lightning. You got ABC on that. This is cinema here. The purpose of this effect is if somebody's watching TV and you're not actually filming the TV, you set this light in front of them in the distance and it'll simulate the light coming off of a TV. It's actually pretty cool. The cinema effect is. And here you can see it's just the light's just kind of like a fog light type of situation. Back to the candle. Anyway, so these are pretty cool, and I've got a set of these. One sits up behind me at all times. It's sitting up there right now, and it casts a little light down the back. I probably need to re-aim it because I was messing around with it earlier, and I've kind of probably got it off of focus. Because what you should actually see is just a little bit of light right here on my shoulder and around my head. You should see just a little glare of light right there, but I've got it set at me. I think I've just got it turned down really, really low. So I've got a set of those also. Got a plethora of these batteries, and I'll get to this in a minute. Then, of course, well, let me just go ahead and run through some prices on this stuff real quick, and let me get back to my lens. Now, the lens I've got on my camera, this lens I'm shooting right here, this is a Sigma 17 to 35 millimeter lens. This is the Art Series lens. This is a very good lens, and I've been a Canon guy my entire life until I got this camera. And I bet I talked to 20, 25 people about this camera and the lenses they're running, and everybody just kept running the Sigma Art lenses on it. And I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna give it a try. And I was highly impressed by it. It's crazy. The clarity on this lens is fantastic. And this lens, you can usually get it for around $750 on sale. Now, I do have a couple of primes that I use also. And now I've also got a set of FloLights. Now, these are actually professional grade LED lighting. These are a little pricey for what they are. I do have a bank of these. And the cool thing about it is everything that I buy, I make sure that it works off this same battery, this NP970. My camera runs off this if I hook up my external mount. My big lights here run off of it. Of course, the little light that's up behind me here that you cannot see, the one I was just showing you, it actually has an internal battery, but my FloLights also will connect to this battery. Now, these FloLights, these are professional lights. These are all daylight balanced. These are 5.6 Kelvin. These lights are, and these are professional grade lights here. Crazy bright for this little light. I mean, it's insane how bright these are. And of course, fully dimmable. So you can dim it down to bright. Let's see, right there. That's its lowest setting. I'm not doing this to see my face. You can see the wall behind me. And this is the highest setting. So I could light this entire thing with this one little light right here. Now, I have 4 of these. These are the micro beams here. I have 4 of these, and I've got one of the big ones, the 512s. This whole kit was $2,000 for these. So these are pricey, but I've got 4 lights. They're all 5.6 matched, the color is, and they're just amazing, amazing lights. And I did want to have one set of professional grade LEDs, so I bought these. Then, of course, you see the big lights with the big boxes over them. These are CFRs, and the reason I bought the CFRs is because the CFR is a bulb. It's that screw-type bulb, and, of course, you can see them in the box. And the CFR is a frosted bulb, and it gives off an incredibly soft light. And when I do my other videos where I'm actually have my guitars in my hands, that's the lights I'm using are those CFRs, because the light is so soft and it spreads so well that there's very little shadowing involved on it. The only problem with this type of light in this type of box, it's not very controllable light. It just, you turn it on and it just floods out into the room. I mean, that's what the purpose of it is to throw a lot of soft light out everywhere. And that's what they do. So that's why I use them in the other room. And I have one in here, but I mainly use those lights in the other room. But I do keep one in here for some certain things. Like I've moved one in here for the, excuse me, for the theory class. Because all this stuff is set and dialed in for this desk right here. So I use the big lights. I have one in here and I've got one in there. So moving on to the desk. As you can see here, I am talking through a Shure SM7B. This is absolutely an amazing microphone. Now, I did a tremendous amount of research on microphones before I decided on this one in particular. One of the things that got me, it is the style. I do like this broadcast style microphone. It's very nice. And this microphone, this is actually the same microphone Michael Jackson used to record Thriller. So you know the clarity on the microphone is fantastic. And it's actually really good with plosives. If I pull the windscreen off, you can see how far back the capsule sits inside of the microphone. And the off-axis rejection on this microphone is actually extremely good. And actually, this is The reason this microphone's been out forever. Forever this mic has been out. But Joe Rogan's the one that really kind of sent this mic, his podcast, over the top. And that's why everybody started buying it. Now, do you need to buy a Shure SM7B? Absolutely not. I prefer the mic because I love the smooth tone of the mic. And I love the capsule sitting so far back in the back. And the arm I have here, this is a Rode PSA-1 arm. This is again, broadcast quality stuff. And the reason I chose this arm, because this arm is balanced out for this mic perfectly. You don't have to adjust anything. You literally plug this mic up and you're done. And I watched so many reviews on mics that will hook an SM7B up and either the mic falls to the table or you can't get it where you want. The tension is so tight on it, even when you loosen it, the mic still likes to float away from you like this while you're talking. And I don't like that, obviously. But the PSA-1, as you can tell, you can just stick this thing absolutely anywhere and it stays. This is a fantastic boom arm. And I've got two of these, of course. And these things are absolutely brilliant boom arms. Let me pull my computer up here because I need to start getting some currently unavailable. Oh, my God. My Desview monitor, the one if you see me looking up, I'm looking into my monitor. It took me forever to get that thing. It was on back order forever in a day. And then finally one came in and I grabbed it immediately. I was on wait list all over the place trying to get this stuff. Let's see here. So we went through the PSA-1. Now, the headset I got here, this headset, I actually bought all this stuff from Sweetwater. I have my sound guy down there at Sweetwater. His name's Rock, dude. He is awesome. So if you ever need help with gear, call Sweetwater and ask for Rock. This dude is amazing. And I've been doing business with Rock for years. I've been doing business with this guy. And when I was setting all this up, I was going through headphones. And he said, and of course, his job is to know this shit, all this stuff. And he's like, whoa, you don't want those. He said, trust me, get these Audio Technicas. He said, you're going to love them. They sound fantastic. They're the same price. He said, and I believe you'll like these much better. So that's how I ended up on these Audio Technicas. And actually, they sound fantastic. And it's really weird talking to this without my headphones on. It's just very odd because now I've gotten used to talking and listening to what's going on in here. So back on with the headphones. And let's move the cable. So moving on, and like I said, I have the desk here. And now, the bulk of this whole thing is my Tascam Mixcast 4. Now, I went back and forth with several iterations of this, and this is probably, besides the microphone, this is probably what I put the most research into. And I'm going to explain to you why I bought the Mixcast 4. So first off, as you can see, it has the color-coded sliders on it. It has the color-coded sliders. And I like that because these sliders actually align to the color codes up top for the headphones. So if we're sitting in somewhat of a dark room and I know I'm number 1, so I'm green, I can just flip up to the green one because I can physically see the lighting on it. And then I can adjust everything from right there. And you can see it's got the mute solo and the talkback feature. And then, of course, you have the pads for all your sound effects on it. And the one with the little 8 dots, that's the slider for the sound for the pads. Then, of course, you can connect something Bluetooth. I usually keep my computer connected to it so I can play sound off my computer and it will record onto here. And my dog is going crazy in there. Then, of course, you see the cell phone. This has a mix minus feature in it. So I can physically take a call. I can hook my cell phone up to the Mixcast. I can take a call and record into it. So that's pretty nice. And, of course, you have a USB in my 4 ports. And, of course, you have the record, pause, stop, and you can mark your audio clips, which is actually pretty cool because if you're doing something and something just goes wrong, you can mark that piece real quick. And then when you go back into post, you can dig that up and get to that mark pretty fast and edit that section of it out. So, and you can see on the back of the ports, it has all the ports that you need for everything that you need. You can see you have the 1/4-inch inputs for your headsets. And then, of course, you got line in, line out. You got a place for your phone. And then, of course, you got your XLR, your 4 inputs for your XLRs. The reason I chose the Mixcast over, let's say, the Rode or, Zoom has a unit out, or just going with a straight interface, like a 4-channel interface and just going straight into a computer. The reason I chose the Mixcast, several reasons on that. First off, I like the sliders to feel the long throw on the sliders. I really like that. I like how everything was color matched and lit up, and the pads and everything. Now, when you hook up to it, you have several options for EQ. You can do it custom, which you really don't need to for this type of thing. But then you have 3 buttons on it, and one of them is called Deep. And what it does is it adjusts the EQ curve to match the sound that you like. And if you've noticed, mine is on Deep. So, and that's how I get this sound coming through this microphone. And it sounds incredibly good. So it's a combination of the microphone and the Tascam that makes it sound like this. And I was actually talking to my buddy Ray earlier, and he said, man, he said, your video, he said, they sound fantastic. And that's why it sounds so good, because it's good quality gear. And then the way I've got it EQ'd to sound like this, because I want it to have a broadcast sound. I want it to sound very professional. So that's another reason why I went with the Tascam, but here is the main reason I used the Tascam. If you go with the Rodecaster, I believe it's called, and you use an SM7B, you must use a cloud lifter. What is a cloud lifter? So a cloud lifter is a little device. It is a little box that will give you 20 dB of clean gain, because the Rodecaster does not have enough gain to work this mic. Because the way this capsule is, and the capsule sits so far back, you have to push everything a little bit hotter. Well, while I was on the phone with the guys at Sweetwater, Rock, like I said, one of the greatest salespeople in the world, and at Sweetwater, he's amazing. While I was talking to him at Sweetwater, because Sweetwater's a massive place, guess who was in the building? The Tascam guy was literally in the building when I was talking to him about this. So he's like, hang on, I'm just going to go talk to the damn Tascam guy. So he runs off. He comes back about 15 minutes later. I'm sitting there on hold. And he's like, yeah, bro, you're clean. You do not have to have a cloud booster or a cloud lifter. So the Tascam actually puts out more gain. And where I've got mine set, the digital gain, I've got it set at 30. And that way I can run my slider at unity. And my sound, my volume is perfect every single time. And so when I come in, I flip it on. My digital gain, I never have to touch. It sits where it's always sitting inside the unit. And I just push my slider. You cannot hear me now. Can you hear me now? 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 And I take it to unity. And then I know that that's where I'm sitting. And I can look at my, my faders on the side over here, and I can see exactly where I'm at. And so with this setup, I got to do very little post. But that's the main reason why I bought this, is because of that. Now, I do have another microphone here. Let me just unplug this. This is the Shure MV7, and this is basically the little brother of this guy right here. And as you can tell, a little difference in the size. This, I've been really impressed with this little microphone here. Now, the capsule is a little closer, so it's not as good on plosives as the SM7B is. But it also does not cost what the SM7B does. And when I first got this, I did use it a little bit to see what it would sound like. And it sounds absolutely amazing. And I was so impressed with this little thing that if I grow this into a 4 podcast room, I'll probably put 2 more of these in there and have 3 of these. So this has been fantastic, and I really enjoy this little microphone. And this will be from my guest, because you can see everything's sitting on my desk right now. And the idea was to put 2 of these desks in here originally, and then have mine here and another one, you know, facing me. But after doing that, what I've decided is I want a 4x4 table, and I'm having a hard time finding one. And that way they'll just sit across from me. Then I can add the 2 more spots, and we'll be sitting all around each other, if that be the case, if I get to that point. But I am looking for that 4x4 table, having a damn hard time finding one. So what do we got here? Now, back to my BlackMagic real quick. Like I said, the reason I bought it was because of the simplicity. But also, when you buy the BlackMagic camera, it comes with a full studio version of Davinci Resolve. And I'm going to tell you, jumping from Premiere to Davinci Resolve was a bit of a learning curve, because it's a completely different set of software. But Now that I'm figuring Davinci Resolve out, it is now my go-to every single time. And I do not have a monthly fee attached to it like I do with Adobe. And it does not crash all the time like the Adobe products do. And it doesn't lock up all the time like the Adobe products do. When I'm editing on Premiere, I literally have gotten into the habit of hitting save about every 30 seconds because I've had that software crash on me so many times, it is not funny. And there's nothing worse than being 15, 17, 18, 19 minutes into a project, it crash, and then you lose everything. Now, luckily, Adobe has got it set up to where it will start to auto-save. Thank God they had to do that. But I am just literally in a habit. If I make any change at all, I save. I save. I just hit Control-S constantly. Make a move, Control-S, Control-S, Control-S. Because I've had it crash on me so many times. I have yet to have the Davinci Resolve software crash on me. And the cool thing about Davinci Resolve is A, you don't have a monthly fee to it. B, it works natively with the BlackMagic camera. What do I mean by that? Well, I do not bake a LUT into this. The color you're seeing me in right now, this color space, all right, this is a LUT from BlackMagic. What is a LUT? A LUT is a lookup table. It's a color grade per se. Now, I do not bake it in. I can literally bake it into the film, but the reason you don't want to do that is because you just might need to change that shot for some reason. So what I'm shooting this on, I'm shooting this as a ProRes 422 HQ with no LUT. So when you pull the project out and you're looking at it on your NLE, it's very gray looking. There's not a whole lot. I mean, there's color, but there's just no contrast, no saturation, nothing. Well, the way I've got my camera set up is when I drop it in there, when I'm looking at it, when I'm looking through my monitor right here and on the back of the camera, I have a LUT on the monitor, the extended video 4 LUT, so I can see what the color is going to look like. So when I drop this into BlackMagic, I'll go to my project settings, I'll set my frame, which this case is 2997, which is broadcast standard for America, and YouTube likes to push it at 30 frames per second, so I do it on that. But then I'll go up and I will choose my input LUT, which will be the V-Video, V4 Video to Video extended, I believe. And then when I drop that in there, it automatically color corrects that footage. So the work I have to do is absolutely minimal to where on Premiere, I would have to sit and grade every single shot. And that just kind of started to become a real pain in the ass doing that. And then also, Davinci Resolve works in nodes. Now, nodes, the first time you get on nodes, it will blow your freaking mind. And when I first got on there, I was like, why would I want nodes? Why would I want to work with a node? Well, the cool thing about nodes is you can keep adding nodes to do different things. Case in point, this video, because of the way it shoots, you see these dark areas. Well, not so much over here, but you see this dark area over here. This is a darker area. So this will pick up noise because there's not a lot of light shining in that area. That's just inherent to shooting film, period. So I will create a node in the color page of Davinci Resolve to clean all this noise up. And then to make sure my playback and everything is lightning fast and smooth, I will click that node off and I can kill any effects and just look at my absolute raw video to keep playback and everything playing back very smooth. Then right before I go to render, I just go in there and click that node back on and it applies it across my footage. And that's fantastic. And you can do that for your gradings also. You'll have your regular project. And then let's say I have one for my grading. So I can go in there and color everything I want. Then I can add another node, turn that node off, and I can recolor it in a whole different look. And I can just turn these nodes off and on and see what the two gradings look like back to back. Then I can add my noise reduction node and so on and so on and so on. Then I can sit there and just turn these nodes off and on to see my end result. Absolutely brilliant. The nice thing about Davinci Resolve is everything is housed inside of one complete unit. On Premiere Pro, you have to cycle through the programs. If I'm working with something in Premiere and I need to go do something in After Effects, a compositing shot, I right-click on the clip and I send it off to Adobe. I got to wait for that to open up. Then once it's open, I can go in there and do my work, and I save it, and it saves back in Premiere. But the problem I have with that is when I've come back the next day to work on that project, it will not reload that Adobe file, even though the file is saved. And I save them in a very specific location. And I can go in there and look at that file, but it will not reload that file into Premiere. I've had that happen more times than I care to count. When you go into Davinci Resolve, when you load it into the edit page, I just go to the Fusion tab, and it's already loaded up. If I need to work on audio, I just click the FloLight tab, and it's already loaded up. If I need to do coloring, I just go into the color tab, and it's all already loaded up. And as I change it, it saves across the entire thing all the time. So it speeds your workflow up tremendously. And like I said, the camera comes with that, and the B-RAW works natively with that software. So if you're shooting your B-RAW and you drop it straight in, it's going to notice that it is B-RAW, and it's going to apply the appropriate grade right out of the gate to make your job that much easier. And then, of course, one thing I left down is you see this big white thing over here. This white thing, this is what I use to white balance my room with, but it's also a reflector. I can boost the light anywhere by bouncing the light off of the white side of that reflector. Or if I get somebody in here that is very pale looking, doesn't have any color, I can flip it around to the gold side, and I can reflect that gold back onto them to give a little color, a little vibrance to their color. So now let's go across the cost of all this stuff. Oh, one quick thing. Also, BlackMagic has an app. This is my iPad. And BlackMagic has an app. You can Bluetooth to your app, and you can control the entire camera. You see all these things on this side of the menu? You can control everything on this entire camera from this app right here. But as you can see, it's got a whole line of different things here. Like for white balance, I can set my tint. I can set my frame rate from right here. I can set my iris, shutter, my ISO. Now, I can't set it right now because I am recording, so it will not let me do that. I have to actually stop the recording and turn that off. And I can set everything I need to set, and it's actually even keeping the time right here, telling me what media I'm recording to. And it's just absolutely fantastic. Now, I can set, if you see right here on the side, I can set everything I need to on this camera. And what we're looking at here is we're looking at my frame rate, which is 2997. That's what you see at the top. I have my ISO, which is at f5.4. I have my shutter, which is 180 degrees. And then I have my ISO, which is at 3200. And I can change all these right here, and everything will move in my camera. And I can change my focal points. I can do my white balancing from right here, and this is absolutely brilliant. The BlackMagic app does everything on your camera. Now, I got the 6K. If you actually get the 4K camera, why it's not updated into the 6K, I do not know. But if you get the 4K BlackMagic, which is a Micro Four Thirds, which personally I did not want. I wanted the Super 35. But you can actually focus and rack focus from the app, and that is brilliant. I hope they update the app to be able to do that with the 6K BlackMagic. Because just being able to sit there and rack focus from your app would just be absolutely a brilliant thing, and I would use the shit out of it all the time. All right, moving on real quick, because we're already way too long into this damn thing. I'm going to be editing this down a lot. What's the cost of all this stuff? The BlackMagic 6K Pocket Cinema camera, you're looking at $2,000, $1,995, and that does not come with anything. That is the body only. That lens, the Sigma lens, the art lens, the 17-35, a lot of times you can catch that on sale for around $700, but I think normally it's like $800. So for this quality of lens, that's an insanely good price for this quality of lens. And Sigma lenses have just gone through the roof. I mean, the quality of Sigma is just outstanding. And so for the money, that is very, very hard to beat. The R72 Desview Monitor I got, that was about $237 if I'm not mistaken. That is the R72. Like I said, it is 1,000 nits bright. Actually, I think it's brighter than that. Actually, I think it's 2,000 nits bright. With an 11,000 to 1 contrast ratio. It's absolutely fantastic. The monitor's full touch screen. Like I said, you can control everything on that monitor you need to see, just like you can a damn iPad. On the cage, the small rig, now everything, I do not have everything attached to my cage, but I probably got about $350 tied up in my cage with all the attachments that I have that I use when I go out and I shoot live. These two lights, the GMV lights I have here, these are about $350 for this set. They are also app controlled, and like I said, you can keep slaving these together and control them all with one app from one light. So if I change this light to 3200 Kelvin, this light will automatically change to 3200 Kelvin also. These little lights here, these little pixel lights, actually, I got these off of Amazon, and I love these. I love these. I take these with me everywhere I go. These, you can get these on sale on Amazon for about 70 to 80 bucks. And I don't care what you're shooting with. I highly recommend you go in and buy a set of these things. These things have just been brilliant. And I've used these in so many situations, it's not funny. And of course, being as small as they are, I can attach them to my rig. And I can light my rig on the sides, and I can put two of these, put out a tremendous amount of freaking light. So these are fantastic right here. And these are, like I said, 70, 80 bucks. You can get these on sale all day long. Now, I'm not going to price down all my stands because I got stands everywhere and everywhere and everywhere and everywhere. So I'm not going to price all that out. The microphone, the SM7B is $400. Chances are you're never going to find that on sale because this is an extremely good mic and it's extremely popular. And Shure sells billions of them, so you're probably not going to find one of these on sale. The little MV, though, I believe I paid $237 for this little dude, and you could probably find these on sale because as cool as these mics are, they're not as popular as this mic, and it's never going to be as popular as this mic. This mic you will find in production studios and music studios. This one you will not. But for doing this type of thing, it is fantastic. And you can see the capsule is right at the end to where on this one it sits quite a ways back. But this is still a damn good microphone for the money. And if I didn't have the money to spring for this and I was doing this type of setup, this is absolutely what I would buy. The PSA arms, they're about $100 a piece. I got a couple of these. Of course, XLRs are XLRs. You can pick those up anywhere. The Tascam Mixcast, this is $599. And like I said, there's a million reasons why I went with this one over everything else. But the big reason is I did not have to buy a cloud lifter. Because if I pay this $599, that's the same thing as the Rodecaster costs us $599. But with the Rodecaster, with this mic, I would also have to spend another $200 for a cloud lifter. With the Tascam, you do not, because it has enough gain internally to handle an SM7B. So that's just an automatic $200 savings right out of the gate. These batteries, there's actually aftermarket MP970 batteries. You can get them on Amazon, a bank of 4 with a charger, and they're actually good batteries. I just can't remember the name off the top of my head. They're about $100 for the 4. And you just can't have enough of these. You need all the batteries you can get your hands on. The FloLights. Now, I've got 4 of these with the micro beams, and I got one of the big ones. This set was $2,000 because I did want one set of professional studio LEDs. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. I got them. I like them. I use them. But I use these little cheap things a hell of a lot more. And these that I have up here in my CFRs. But the nice thing about these is when I turn them on, I know they're all exactly 5.6 Kelvin. And that's what you're paying for is the color matching. And then you can't tell from this, but these are the actual bulbs and not the little diodes like these lights have and this one has. If you could see the face of this one, it's just a bunch of little diodes in there. These actually have the bulbs. So there's a lot more build quality in these than there are, well, this is actually an aluminum housing. Actually, all these are in aluminum housings. And but I can't bitch. These are fantastic, and so are those. I absolutely love them all. And I use them more than I use my expensive FloLights. Figure that one out. These are the drives, these T5s. And these are about $100 to $130 a piece for the 1 terabytes. And if you're going to get a BlackMagic, this is what you want to get. A CFast card, 1 terabyte CFast card will run you about $700. So I can buy 7 of these and do everything on this that I can do on a CFast card. So I don't understand why anybody would want to buy a CFast card unless you just didn't want to buy all the external attachments like what I got on mine. And you want to keep everything internal into the camera. So I have multiple of these, and you can get these for about $100 a piece, $120 depending on where you're shopping at. And that's about it. That's about all my gear, light stands, and like I said, all that stuff. I've got boom poles, which I don't use for this. And what I don't have set up is I got a Sennheiser microphone. Now, I do have a Sennheiser shotgun, and it's actually a badass microphone. It's extremely nice. This is my Sennheiser shotgun mic. This is my MKH. Now, this thing is a beast. And if you're doing any type of video production, this is a must-have. Now, this will be when I'm doing my other tutorials at one point. I just haven't gotten it set up. This will be sitting up here when I'm doing my tutorials. I gotta be honest, I just really haven't set it all up yet. This is $1,000 for this here. Now, for doing a podcast room, you do not need this, but I do production work also. And this thing is an absolute beast. But believe it or not, I actually bought all this for other type of videos. And it is, you can run batteries in it, of course. But if you don't want to run a battery, then you can run phantom power to it, and it'll work just as well. I still got a battery sitting in it from last project I was working on. XLR cable, and this thing is absolutely fantastic. This is an amazing microphone. And like I said, this is $1,000 for this, but you do not need this to set up a podcast room. So the podcast room I've set up, did I take the cheap way out? No, I did not. I probably could have done this for a lot cheaper, but I would not have had the quality of gear that I have had I gone a cheaper route. And I was looking for a very specific look and a very specific sound, and that is why I went with the gear that I went with. And like I said, I wanted to go ahead and spend the money now because I didn't want to buy something and then down the road think, you know what, I wish I'd have got something else, and then turn around and end up buying that on top of it. I did not want to get into that. So I just went ahead and bought all the stuff that I really wanted the first time. So on that note, that is my podcast room, and that is the reason that I bought it, why I bought it, and why I love it so freaking much. And if you do get a chance to check out Davinci Resolve, absolutely check that out. It blows my mind every time I edit on it, and it has now become my go-to NLE to the point that when my Adobe subscription runs out, I think I'm going to let it go. And that's hard for me to say because I love After Effects because I am a compositor. And After Effects is brilliant. And I've bought a lot of software for After Effects. But I'm tired of paying that monthly fee because I'm to the point now to out of all of the Adobe products, the only thing I now use is After Effects. And I don't want to pay that huge monthly fee for that one program anymore. And Fusion is insanely powerful, but it is all node-based, and I'm still working my way through Fusion. But at one point, I will get there. So do yourself a favor. If you are setting up a podcast room and you have the money, trust me, you cannot go wrong with the BlackMagic cinema cameras. I have used everything in this world, and I will be honest, I do not ever see me leaving BlackMagic. If I wanted to go to something else, if I wanted to go to an ENG type of camera, I would probably jump over to an Ursa because now they've got the Ursa shooting in 12K. Well, why do I need 12K? Why do I need 6K? The reason you want those cameras with such a high resolution because it gives you a ton of latitude on reframing. If I'm not sure of the frame that I need, because sometimes even though you see it, you're just not sure till you're looking to you're doing your dailies or you're doing your you're doing your final cutting. With 6K, if I shoot far enough back, I can reframe that in multiple different places to where I can have it sitting like where I'm sitting right now, or I could basically reframe it to where it is just my face because I have so much resolution, I can bring it in that much. So when I was buying the BlackMagic, I looked at getting the 4K, but then I thought, man, it's a bit cheaper. The 4K is a bit cheaper. I think the 4K body is $1,200. This one's $2,000. $800 more for 6K. That'll make it future-proof for at least 5, 6, 7, 8 years for me. Absolutely. That's a win-win. And I wanted the Super 35 sensor instead of the Micro Four Thirds. So check out the BlackMagic. No, BlackMagic has nothing to do with this video whatsoever. Neither does Rodecaster, Tascam. Everything in here, all the shit you see, Trace Taylor bought. No paid subscriptions. No paid subscriptions at all. The reason I'm talking so highly of BlackMagic is because their gear has blown me away. And I was just shocked at how good it was when I got it and how much I fell in love with it. And now that's all I want is my BlackMagic gear. I have literally sold every other camera that I own except for one Canon that now I've restricted down to just photography. I no longer use that for video. I only use my BlackMagic cameras now. And that working natively in Davinci Resolve, which is absolutely beautiful in LE, it just makes my workflow that much better. So on that note, we're going to wrap it up. As you can see, I got gear and shit everywhere. And yeah, I spent a little bit of money on it, but I wanted to make sure that I got the right thing the first time. So I did it. I love it. It makes my life easier. That is the gear that I bought, and that is the reason that I bought it. But if you have any questions, please put it down in the comments section. If you have any comments, put it in the comments section. Please subscribe to my channel. Yes, it is a music channel, and yes, I am stepping off of the curb a little bit, but the name of my channel is Gear Guitars and Everything Music. And since I do a lot of music production stuff in here for my YouTube channel, this is everything music to me. So this is how I set up a podcast room. If you have any questions, like I said, or comments, put it down in the comments section. Please subscribe to the channel. And just check it out. I got a great channel with a wealth of information about music up on there and a bunch of other stuff. Check it out. Please subscribe to the channel. Check out my Patreon page. And until the next video, I'm not going to give you my usual closing that I always do because this one's a little different. But until the next video, rock on.